We'll wait just a few minutes and let some people join us here before we get started.
If you hop on, let us say hi, let us know where you're watching from. Hi, Emily.
They're not used to us being on this.
I know. This is a little earlier than normal.
Amanda, Nikki.
Grab a cup of coffee and come watch. Hi, Mary. And Melanie.
Chris.
And Debbie. Hi, Kim.
Caitlin.
We got Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Oregon,
New York.
North Carolina.
I'm all over.
Hi, Tammy and Sherry. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a special guest with us today. Claire is with us from Horseware Ireland, and she is going to talk about everything blanketing. Yay!
Don't forget to put your questions in those comments because Claire is here to answer them for you if you have any. At the end of this segment, we have a really nice giveaway. One lucky person is going to win
Cha-ching.
this Amigo Bravo heavy turnout horse blanket, and this is valued at $250. Pretty awesome prize. So get your questions in there. Just say hello and let us know that you're watching with us. And with that, Claire, we're going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Melanie and Melissa, for having me today and letting me join from Ireland. I am going to talk all things Horseware Ireland today. By background, I'm Product Innovation Manager, meaning that I lead the research and development team within the Horseware company, and we design and develop a whole range of equestrian products, mainly blankets. Blankets is our biggest business. Horseware as a company was founded in 1985 in Ireland by Tom McGuinness, and his goal was to create a turnout blanket that didn't slip, kept your horse dry, warm, and protected from the elements. 36 years on, we manufacture across the world. We have manufacturing facilities in Ireland, China, and Cambodia. And we bring to life the products like the Rambo turnouts, the Amigo turnouts, the Rhino turnouts, the Ice Vibe therapy boots, and the Sports Vibe therapy rugs as well. So I suppose the goal of today's session is really to talk about preparing for winter blanketing. I'm going to talk in general about some of the things us as owners need to consider getting your horses ready for the winter season. It's great to have so many different people joining from different locations. So I will try to be as broad as possible. And then if you get your individual questions in, we'll try to deal with them throughout the course of this session. So in Ireland at the moment, I was just saying to Melanie and Melissa that the weather is being a bit schizophrenic. Usually our Octobers would be quite cold at this stage and we would be clipping our horses and taking that winter coat off. However, we had a beautiful September. It was really, really warm. And even today, we're still in the kind of 60s in terms of temperature, but it's raining. So all of these things are going to indicate when we're going to start reaching for different types of blankets. So the Horseware blankets, we go from lightweight waterproof sheets right up to heavy duty turnout. So the rug that's being given away today. The Amigo Bravo 12 is a heavyweight turnout, so it's going to be ideal for when those temperatures really, really drop and it gets really cold and dry. So to start off with, what do we as horse owners need to consider? The weather, primarily, first and foremost. So a horse can regulate their core tempero-neutral zone in normal conditions between 41 degrees and 68 degrees. So that means that they can regulate themselves and they can keep their core body temperature, which is usually in around 101 Fahrenheit for the States. They can keep that consistent. But what really throws that out of kilter is precipitation and wind. So Dr. David Marland, he's an acclaimed researcher in the UK. He's done significant studies on the impact of precipitation and rain, and when those horses get wet, that those core temperatures start to plummet. So the first thing that we need to be looking for is a waterproof layer to keep the rain off our horses' back before we do anything else. So reaching for a high quality, waterproof and breathable turnout is going to be an absolute must. All the horseware fabrics are waterproof in excess of 5,000 mm. What does that mean? That means that they will withstand upwards on 5 meters of rain over a 24-hour period. Equally, they're fully breathable. So horses, like humans, they regulate their temperature by releasing a lot of heat, moisture vapor, sweat through their skin. So it's really, really important that our fabrics are going to allow that moisture to be released and not get them overheated or clammy or damp. So weather is the first thing. Also, if it's going to be below zero, if it's going to start to freeze, we're going to want to bulk up that insulation that they have. So then looking for something that has a heavier fiber fill. So that's essentially the padding that's inside the rug. That padding acts as a loft, as in it has height. So it's going to trap the warm air that the horse naturally creates and create an insulation layer, kind of like a duvet on your bed. So when you go for a higher tog duvet or a higher fill in your blanket, that's going to keep the heat that's naturally being created by the horse from being released into the atmosphere. So then the next consideration is shelter, whether your horse is being turned out or they have a mix routine. So they're in for periods of the day and then they're out for sections of the day. If there's shelter within that turnout setup, if they're allowed to come in and out of their stable, if they have a field shelter, if there's natural borders of that area, so trees, bushes, those things are going to allow them to hide and guard themselves from the elements and the changing weather. If they don't, definitely providing them with some sort of a waterproof turnout is going to help them maintain their condition and maintain their coats. Moving on from that, then the breed, the type, the age, the condition of the horse. So in Europe, we have a lot of native breed horses like the Connemara pony, the Irish Draft, and they are really what we call hardy breeds or good doers. So they will regulate themselves in a much better way than foreign breeds that might be imported. So some of your warm bloods, your Arabs, those animals that have thinner skinned and higher blood levels, they are definitely going to be animals that need to be blanketed earlier in the season to help them regulate themselves. Also, the way we manage horses now has had like a big impact on how their bodies react to the seasons. Naturally, horses will put on weight during the summer because they're getting ready for the breeding season. That's, when mares start to cycle. So they will start to fill out and then they will naturally start to lose weight during the winter. However, in the domestic setting, we like our horses to retain their weight all year round. So sometimes if a horse is carrying a little excess weight going into the winter, it might be better to use a lighter weight rug so that they will kind of like trim themselves off. Equally, if you have a horse that isn't retaining their condition very well, an older animal, a younger animal, an animal that might have a metabolic issue that naturally loses weight or becomes sickly quite quickly, putting a rug on them sooner or a blanket on them sooner with a heavier fill will help them maintain their condition and keep them consistent for the winter months. 2 final points. clipping. So if we're going to take the hair, the natural insulation off the horse, it's a big trend here in Europe coming into the winter months. Take off that top layer of coat, makes our life as a rider, a trainer, a handler easier, keeps them cleaner. But if we're taking away that natural insulation, we need to add something back in. So we need to be reaching for our medium weight fills, so our 200 grams. And then as the temperatures decrease again, we need to be upping that to our 400 grams, 500 gram heavier weight blankets. Then finally, time. All of the Horseware design team, we are working equine parents, as I'm sure a lot of people on this session are today. So, pulling in a horse that's soaking wet or covered in mud can really impact your time schedule if you're trying to fit things in between work or home or kids. So again, opting for a turnout that's going to keep their body dry and clean is going to help with that management and your enjoyment and speeding up the process. I think there's a good few questions coming in there, guys. So will we turn to some of the questions now, or will I keep talking through some of the points?
Well, we can do however we'd like to do it, but we do have quite a few questions about the washing and care for the blankets. So
okay, super. That's a really, really good place to start. So one of the first things that I would say, and I think if there's a Western enthusiasts, so quarter horses, people that are showing animals, mane rubbing and shoulder rubbing is obviously a big consideration. So from the very first point of call, when you've bought a brand new turnout, one of the things that we always recommend is maybe getting a mane and tail or a show sheen and spraying down the inside lining of your rug. All of the Horseware blankets are lined with a shine enhancing polyester fabric. So it's very smooth, shiny. It helps to maintain coat shine and coat health. And also it's really easy to wipe clean and wipe down. So you get your turnout, your blanket, you turn it inside out, and if you spray a layer of coat sheen on the inside of that, it essentially creates this gloss that helps prevent any friction or rubbing. I find it very good for manes in particular. So spraying down the inside of the hoods or the neck covers of these blankets, it's going to keep your mane nice and clean. Now, as we start to use the rugs for longer periods of time, it's like anything. If we're wearing a piece of clothing for hours and hours and hours, there's going to be a buildup of sweat, grime, sand, dirt. So what I do recommend is every 2 weeks, taking your turnout off your horse, getting a warm, non-bio detergent, maybe like a washing up liquid in a lukewarm bucket of water and a soap, and just wiping down those areas where there's a lot of movement. So in the shoulder areas and along the crest of that mane. And that's just taking that grime off. Also, it means that you don't have to be washing these rugs every couple of weeks. You can be cleaning the inside of them. And also it's going to help that waterproof barrier layer that's on the outside of the blankets last for longer. So that's the other thing. All of the turnouts come with very, very strict washing instructions. So if you we would always recommend maybe doing a brush down of the heavy dirt with like a dandy brush or a hard brush to get the heavy dry dirt off your rug before then you wash it. We have a special Horseware rug wash, which is available with Valley Vet. And this is to help maintain the waterproof coating of that waterproof fabric. Again, I'm going to switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So I'm going to speak about Celsius now because I didn't translate it into Fahrenheit. But all of the rugs need to be washed. If you're going to use a domestic washing machine, it can be no warmer than 30 degrees Celsius. So essentially a cold wash. That's super, super important. Anything over than that will start to compromise that waterproof barrier layer that's on the inside of that outer fabric. Like any bit of waterproof clothing, if it is not maintained and those washing instructions are not followed, it will compromise that barrier and it will start to break down. I personally recommend maintaining the inside of your rug on a bi-weekly basis. And then at the end of the season, clean as much of the heavy dirt off it as possible by hand or by sponge washing it. And that's going to keep that waterproof barrier layer from disintegrating over a long period of time. The Rambo turnouts, Ballyvet carry the Rambo original 200 gram. They come with a 3-year manufacturing guarantee on waterproofness and breathability. So we will guarantee the functionality of that product for 3 years. All you have to do is register on the Horseware Rambo guarantee page when you purchase your turnout. And then if there's any issues with that blanket over that 3-year period that's due to manufacturing, we will either refund you or send you a brand new turnout. So that's a bit of peace of mind there in the background.
What are the size ranges that the blankets come in?
So many. We try to cater to as many horse sizes as possible. So we do a core horse sizing from 5'6" up to 7'3". Then we have pony sizes that run from 3'9" up to 5'9". We have a petite collection for your miniatures that runs from 2'6" up to 4 foot. And then we actually have XL sizing. So these blankets are specifically designed for the broader built horse. So it has extra room in the shoulders and extra length and depth for those bigger, your Clydesdales, your heavy Friesians, those animals that are just a little bit bigger in their bones. So there really is something for everyone. And then within that, we have different front closures that cater to different shapes of horses. So your narrower horses will be really suited to the straight front closures, like what are on the Rambo original turnouts that Ballyvet carry. And then broader chested animals will suit the V front closure, like on the Amigo Bravo 1200, which is available to win as part of this session today.
Lauren asked, which is your favorite style in horseware blankets and why?
Okay, well, this is actually really, this is a point actually I should have made at the start. So I'm a horse owner. I have 2 Connemara ponies. Despite them being the same breed, they're super, super different. So us as horse owners, we have to be very cognitive of the fact that every horse is different. They have their own personalities. They have their own natural habits. They have their own personalities. So it is up to us to be able to understand their individual needs. And while Horseware carries such a range of products, is really to cater to these individual needs of these animals. So one of my ponies has sweet itch, so she's super, super hard on rugs. So my top 2 rugs for her during the summer, she lives in her Rambo protector that protects her skin from that irritation. And if she does get itchy, the rug is going to protect her from the object that she's scratching up against. Then during the winter, she cannot go in anything other than a Rambo turnout because she's so hard on her rugs. Our Rambo turnouts are made of Ballistic Nylon 1000D. This is the same fabric that's used in military clothing. So bulletproof vests, stab shields, it's super tough and super robust. So I know that I'm going to put that on her and it's going to last season after season, regardless of what she scratches up against. Now, my other mare, she is as gentle as a lamb, very quiet, very subdued. So things like an Amigo Bravo 1200 polyester is ideal for her. I always like to opt for a V front on my ponies because they're Connemara's. They've got big, nice full chests, very much like the quarter horses. There's a lot of similarity between a Connemara type in front and a quarter horse. So those are my personal choices.
Okay. I know you've touched on the warranty a little bit. There's a 3-year warranty. Robbie had asked, how long will the blankets last in the winter time? So
again, it really depends on the actual animal. And that's why I stress knowing your individual horse. So in the case that I've just given, your Rambo turnouts we can guarantee that they're going to last for up to 3 years in terms of waterproofness, breathability. Now, there's countless stories of people having rugs that have outlived horses, these Rambo turnouts that are essentially like indestructible and have lived season after season. So your Amigos, they're a less strong fabric. They're 1200D polyester as opposed to a nylon. So they are less robust, but we would like to see them lasting for upwards on 2 to 3 years. But again, that really depends on if your horse is being turned out in a group, if he's very hard on rugs, what kind of fencing he's exposed to. Is it wire fencing? Is it post and rail? Is there natural bushes? So I think spending a bit of time trying to understand where your horse is living. Is he out in a group? Is he being bullied? Is he the bully? Horses are exceptionally tactile animals. They use their mouths to communicate. So if they're angry with someone, they're going to lash out with their teeth. If they are friends with someone and they want to groom each other, they're going to use their mouths to get in there and scratch. So those things need to be considered. And unfortunately, I don't have a blanket answer. It really is up to the individual horse. If they're being turned out on their own, they're very passive, they're very gentle, or they're being contained in a stable for long periods of time, then the polyesters or the lesser deniers, so your 600Ds, your Mio turnouts, are going to be ideal for that animal. Animals that are being turned out in a group, younger horses, something that is stronger and more robust, so your Amigo Bravos and your 1200D and your Rambos and your nylons. Those are your strong rugs that are really going to last the test of time. So I think definitely considering the needs in terms of your horse's personality, his living environment, and then his field mates are things that need to be factored in when you're making these decisions.
All right, Hannah had asked, do you have to retreat the fabric after a while with waterproofing?
Again, it depends on, you'll see yourself, the fabric should retain its waterproofness for upwards on 3 years if it is managed correctly. It's not washed in very hot temperatures. Equally, storing your blankets on the off season is really, really important. Making sure that they've been fully air dried out. We don't want any direct heat on these rugs. We want them to air dry, and then we want them to be packed away in somewhere where there's a consistent temperature. It's not getting too hot. They're not they're not exposed to direct sunlight, and they're being packed away in their bags or storage bags. That's number one. If you see after a period of time that there is a breakdown in waterproofness, we recommend things like Nick Wax, which is an application treatment that you can apply to the outer fabric, and that will restore its waterproofness.
Okay. And then Kay had asked, how many washings can you do with the blanket until the waterproofing breaks down? Like,
yeah, that's a really valid question. Again, all of our fabrics are tested to between 5 and 10 washes. And that really is, I know that sounds like very little, but really you should only be washing your turnout once a season. You shouldn't be washing it in the same way that you're washing your pajamas or your bed sheets. Like I said, I would be recommending that the inside rug of the rug is wiped down every 2 weeks. If the rug gets overly wet or overly dirty, take it off the horse, allow that to dry, and then brush that heavy dirt down. And I would not be machine washing these rugs on a regular basis. They don't need it. And that this is going to maintain the waterproofness much better. The lining, if you're concerned that that's getting dirty or greasy, you wash it, wipe it down. And equally, Valley Vet carry a range of Horseware slinkies. So these are the Lycra hoods and shoulders that can be used underneath the blanket. That's also going to keep your horse nice and clean. And that's also another solution that if you are concerned about any friction or any buildup on the dirt of the blanket on the inside of the rug. But really keeping it as less is more with these products. So I would not be machine washing these on a regular basis. And back to that 5 to 10 wash test, that essentially is 5 years if you're washing them at the end of the season, washing them once or twice a year.
All right, Nikki had a question. She said she loves the fly sheets. She needed a medium weight for her colt. She said, do you take 3 inches off measurement for fit like on fly sheets? So can you talk a little bit about
Absolutely. We'll talk about some measurements. Okay. So the main measurement, the main way of horseware measuring is we like to take a tape, like a flat tape measure, something that's very soft. It's not going to irritate the horse's skin. We start at the center of the horse's chest. We take it around. You might need a partner to help you with this because it's not something you can really do on your own. So somebody stands at the front of the horse at the center of the chest. They measure around the shoulder, around the quarters, and to the center of the horse's tail. Again, safety first. Make sure that the horse knows that you're going to interact with the hind end before you do this. And then you take that measurement and you take 4 inches or 10 centimeters off this. So why do we do this? The center of the horse's tail is a very distinct point. Everyone can identify it, and it's not going to change from person to person. If we were to say to measure to the back of the flanks or the back of the hip, that would be a little bit more inconsistent. However, the rugs don't finish at the center of the tail. They finish just along that hindquarter. So that's why we're taking those 4 inches or 10 centimeters off to give you that. In terms of Nikki's question, also, sometimes it is, if you have a horse that's between sizes, it is worth sizing up when you go for the heavier weight turnouts so that they have like more space for that fill. And then if they are between sizes, going down a size in those lighter fly sheets or cooler products as well.
Okay. Angela had a comment here. She was wondering what you would suggest. She has a 39-year-old quarter horse.
Wow.
And she said it's hard to keep weight on the horse. So she was wondering what you would suggest for maybe 15 to 20 degree temperatures. Do you suggest layering blankets, or what, I guess, what fill do you recommend?
I would be opting for a medium weight, so a 200 gram. For a horse like this, you can absolutely layer blankets if you want, but I always think that if you opt for a solid weight, that it's going to help retain the heat better. If then you decide that the horse, you're going to clip them or take some hair off, then I would be adding another layer there, and I would be moving up to maybe a 400 gram blanket that's a heavier weight. But again, Valley Vet carry a wide range of medium weight blankets. So they carry the medium weight in the Rambos, the Amigos, and the Mios. So that 200 gram fill, I think, will be a great option for that kind of cooler climate and that older horse.
Caitlin asked if you can over blanket a horse.
So this is a topic that comes up quite a lot, and it definitely comes up in this kind of trans-seasonal period that we're experiencing, where we're moving from summer into autumn and the temperatures don't really know what they're doing. We have really warm days and then we have cold nights. Yes, there is the risk of over blanketing them. So this then the responsibility falls back on the owner to make sure that you're checking their vital signs on a regular basis. You're making sure that their temperature isn't increasing, that they're not sweating, monitoring the weather and how it's changing. And there might be a little bit more work in terms of you as the owner. So you might have to change that rug in the morning before you go to work and then put it back on at night if those temperatures are going to drop overnight. Anything that is lightweight from the Horseware range, so your 0, your 50 grams, your 100 grams, there's going to be absolutely no risk of your horse overheating in them because of that breathability that outer fabric has. So even if you're opting for something like a 50 gram turnout or a 100 gram turnout that has a little bit of fiber fill, that's going to lift that outer fabric off the back of the horse. It's going to have a little bit of loft in it, and it's going to allow circulation and breathability of that moisture vapor that naturally builds up in it. As the seasons change and temperatures decrease, again, it really falls back onto the owner to make sure that you're monitoring their moods, their behaviors, the hand check. What is their temperature? If you want to do something more scientific and take their temperature over a 7-day period so you can see what their core temperature is doing, you can do that. And then you can assess, okay, now is the time that I need to move my blankets onwards. Equally, if we do go down the road of clipping your horse and taking off that natural insulation layer that they have, it is our responsibility to then replace it and make sure that natural insulation is being retained. Horseware have a range of hybrid blankets as such. So we have blankets like the Rambo Summer Series that has waterproof top layer, and it's going to keep the back area and the quarter area of the horse nice and protected from water and rain, but equally the sides are polyester mesh. So those areas that naturally overheat, like the flanks and the shoulders, have this breathability. Equally, the Amigo Bravo that's available today, comes with liner loops. So this means that you can then add a Horseware liner to increase the weight of your rug. So there's a lot of flexibility in the Horseware products. So it's not that you have to buy a medium weight, a heavy weight, and a lightweight. You can buy your Amigo Bravo 1200 with your liner loops, and then you can add a heavier weight liner and make that rug work for you throughout the winter. It's essentially like us wearing a gilet under a waterproof jacket. Some days we might just need the rain jacket because it's raining and it's, 68 degrees outside. Or there's going to be, when that temperature drops, we're going to put an additional layer underneath. So there is a lot of flexible options within the Horseware range.
Great. Brianna had asked, what is your heaviest blanket?
Our heaviest blankets are the Rambo Supreme 1680Ds. These are available in 420 grams in the turnouts. The outer fabric is a Ballistic Nylon 1680, so it's super, super strong, super tough. Down from that, then we would have our Rambo turnouts available in 400 grams. We have stable blankets that go from, again, heaviness, they're going from 400 grams right up to 550 grams in weight. So there's just we're a global company. We sell all over the world. We sell to so many different climates and types of horses. So there really is something for everyone.
Can you go over the best way to store them again?
That's no problem. Yeah. So a lot of the blankets come in bags, which we recommend people to keep. The Rambo turnouts from this winter come in a brand new packaging solution, the Bag for Life, which is a fully waterproof gear bag, which is great for keeping your blankets stored after the winter season. So we come into early spring, it's getting warmer. I would allow the rugs to fully dry out, making sure that there's no areas of them that are damp or sweaty. Then I would either brush off the heavy dirt or wipe clean the lining. And then if I really felt like it had a hard winter, I might opt to wash it using the Horseware rug wash and no higher temperature than 30 degrees. There was something that came in there actually in terms of drying and heat. These rugs are not to be exposed to direct heat. You cannot put them in the dryer because it will compromise and essentially ruin your waterproof coating. So you're going to allow that to air dry fully. Make sure that there's no part of the rug that's damp. And then you fold up your rug. There's loads of handy hacks on the Horseware Instagram page as to how you can care for your rugs and store your rugs in a neat way. And then pop them back in their original packaging in a cool, dark area. So maybe the top loft of the barn or the tack room of the barn, somewhere where you're not going to get massive temperature variation. So it's not getting super, super warm during the summer or super cold during the winter. And that is the best way to store them.
Okay. Chris says his horse is known as the blanket killer. And he wants to know what's the most durable blanket?
Yeah, I have one of those myself, Chris. So I feel your pain. The Rambo turnouts, that is, you have to opt for a Ballistic Nylon. There's really no other choice. So the Ballistic Nylons that we offer in the Horseware range, they are super, super robust. They have this slippery hand feel. They're made from Ballistic Nylon 6.6. So it's the same fabric that's used in bulletproof vests and stab-proof vests. Super hard for other horses to get a grip on them, and also they will take a huge amount of battering and abrasion. So that's my suggestion. I wish you luck, and if they are able to get through that, you have a whole other animal on your hands.
Robbie said, what about if you don't clip, but should you still put a heavy weight when it turns into the 30s?
Sorry, my cat's meowing now, so I just have to ignore that. Again, it really is very specific on the individual animal and whether they feel the cold and whether their condition is decreasing. I would be saying stay with your medium weights. But again, because they have that natural insulation already and they're not being clipped, but you're going to have to judge it for yourself as the temperatures change. Equally, if the horse is out full time and he's moving around, he's going to build up more heat. If he's standing in a stable and there's drafts or there's air conditioning, that's also other things that need to be considered. But I think your medium weight is a really good place to start. So you're 200 grams. So he's not going to be overheating. And like that comment that came in earlier, that fear of over rugging.
Do all the blankets have the same warranty? I know you went over.
No, they do not. No. So the Rambos and the Rhinos come with a 3-year warranty on waterproofness and breathability. You have to register on horseware.com from your date of purchase, and they're protected for 3 years. Our Amigo blankets, again, if there's any issues within the first 18 months, we will absolutely assess them on a case-by-case basis, but we do not guarantee the waterproofness for over 3 years.
Okay. Angela had asked, what is the difference between the Amigo and the Rambo blanket?
So the main difference is the fabrics that we're using in them. So your Rambos are using that ballistic nylon that I spoke about, and your Amigos are being made of a polyester. So they're two man-made yarns, but your nylons are naturally stronger and more durable and more robust. Your polyesters, depending on the denier, so all of the Horseware blankets will have a number at the end of their name. So a 1200D, an Amigo Bravo 1200D basically means that they're made of a 1200D polyester yarn. Then we have our Amigo Heroes, which are made of a 900D polyester or a 600D polyester. So those are all kind of decreasing in terms of strength. So I forgot what the question was.
Just the difference between the Amigo and
yeah. Then the other difference would be features. So you're going to have more features like versatility in your Rambos. You have your 3-year guarantee in terms of performance. And then your Amigos, you're probably going to have less features. So you're going to have different front closures. You might have one leg arch as opposed to 2 leg arches. And that all affects how the rug fits and suits different types of horses.
And do you make a Rambo for a mini size?
It depends on the mini size. We make a lot of Amigos for the mini size. So we have a petite range for those miniature horses. They're usually made of a 1200D polyester, and we have a 0 gram or a medium weight, so a 200 gram available in the petite sizes. We do have some pony sizes in the Rambos. They go down to 5 foot. Up to 7'3".
Let's see. Does the Rambo blanket come in a petite? I don't know if you answered that or not.
Yes, I did. No, they come in the Amigos. So we do have the petite sizes in the Amigo styles.
Can you talk about the straps that are on the blankets? Or the
I'm seeing some comments on belly bands. Not really sure what a belly band is, but I'll talk about the strapping that we have on the Horseware blanket. So we have what we call singles. They work in a diagonal cross action, so they close from front to back and then back to front across underneath the horse's belly. And this essentially anchors the placement of the rug and helps prevent that slippage. So a lot of positioning work goes into the height of those straps and the positioning of those straps. They're adjustable. So what we like to do is you take your rug out, you put it on, so you're closing right to left, so right front to left back, and you're closing back right to front left. Some rugs also have a center strap which just closes straight across, and then you adjust them so that there is a palm's width between the belly of the horse and the singles, and that is to allow for movement. If they're super tight, they can cause irritation on the horse, and they can cause a huge amount of discomfort. If they're loose, you run the risk of horses' legs getting caught up in them. So that palm's width vertically. So this is the belly of the horse. and this is your strap. You need to be able to fit that in between it. Now, they're webbing. They're made of PP, so polypropylene webbing. They're very, very durable. But they will ease out over time. So after a few weeks of wear, so maybe the first 2 weeks or the first month, make sure you're checking those straps again. Equally, if your horse is on a nutrition program where they're looking to increase weight or decrease weight, you need to be checking those straps as the physical shape of your horse changes through the seasons, because they will either get looser or longer. A big question that we always get asked is the Horseware blankets do not have leg straps. We operate a system where we have a back dart system, where we have a center dart and 2 side darts. Similar to what you see in shirts or skirts, they create this beautiful contoured shape. So the back of the rug is going to envelope around the hindquarters and sit nice and snugly. And then we have a tail strap that runs straight across underneath the horse's tail, so you can lift it up and it sits between the horse's tail and their hind legs. And this is a very innovative design feature that Horseware really prides themselves on. Leg straps can cause a lot of issues if they're not done up correctly, or if the horse is young or nervous. They can cause a whole host of issues. So we've eliminated all of that guesswork by the design that is featured across the range of Horseware blankets.
Emily asked if the blankets have reflective tape on them.
The Amigos and the Rambos will have reflective tape on the front and on the tail flap. The Mio blankets do not.
Is there a certain cut that you would recommend for certain horses? We had questions on an Arabian, a quarter horse, a wide pony.
Okay, all right, yeah, great.
Yeah.
So for the quarter horses and the broader horses that have that, like those really, really nice round shoulders, the V front or the Supreme cut blankets, this style of neck is available in the Rambo range, the Rhino range, and the Amigo Bravo range. So the Amigo Bravo that's available to win as part of this session carries the V front closure. That's definitely our most versatile fitting front rug. So if in doubt, I always opt for a V front closure. But it is great for those fuller shoulders. Your Arabs or your thinner skinned horses, a straight front closure or our classic cut necks are ideal suited for them. And equally our patented and latest disc front closure is really good for thin-skinned animals. So we've had a lot of comments of people who have Arabs and they find it very hard to find rugs that do not rub them or irritate them. So the disc front is made of a lightweight nylon polymer. So it weighs a quarter of the weight of traditional metal front closures. So it's going to help reduce any tension or friction that those thinner skinned horses can be subjected to. The pony, the white pony as well. Sorry, not to forget our pony people. Again, I would be opting for a V front closure for anything that is a little bit broader in their chest.
Perfect.
And the quarter horse as well. Sorry, one of the other comments as well. We do specifically do a cut of rug called the Amigo stock horse turnout, which is specifically shaped for the quarter horse customers as well, and that is available at Valley Vet.
Lori had asked if the horse should sweat. Do any of these absorb or loft away the sweat, or do they absorb or loft away the sweat?
So the linings on the turnouts are they're not built to absorb sweat. So again, we're coming into that weird season where horses are getting warmer after work because they're colder, they have heavier coats. I would always recommend that you spend a period of time allowing your horse to dry off as best you can. We have a range of cooler blankets. So the Rambo dry rug is an incredible piece of kit that's going to wick away all that moisture. You can stick it on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on the ambient temperature and the length of your horse's hair. It will really act to fast dry that horse. And then you can throw on your turnout or your stable blanket once they've dried a sufficient amount. I mean, People have thrown on rugs onto damp horses. I just wouldn't be recommending it, A, from an equine health perspective, and B, to maintain the longevity of your rug. Keeping those linings as damp free as possible is going to help the performance of that product for longer and longer.
Okay, Candace had said that she power washes the inner side of the blanket on a light setting. Is that okay, or do you not recommend that?
I wouldn't recommend it, Candice, but if you've had, if you've had success with it, then by all means. I think the critical thing that Candice has said there is the low setting. So as long as it's low and it's not blasting through it, then you can absolutely opt for it. But gentle is definitely the best approach with the power hose. So.
Is there a certain temperature that you would recommend to start blanketing if they hadn't lost their hair yet? Or if the winter hair hadn't filled in yet?
The winter hair hadn't filled in yet. Yeah. Again, is this something to like manage the hair growth? Because some people do that. Some people like to put on a 50 gram or 100 gram earlier in the season to prevent them coating out. And I would probably say as soon as you're getting like that drop to, again, I'm gonna have to switch back to Celsius. I'm sorry guys. When it's dropping from your teens down to your like 9-10 degrees, you could definitely start to blanket them then to help keep them from coating out as quickly as possible. I absolutely missed that window of opportunity here, and all mine are beginning to coat out, so it's going to have to be a clip job. Also, if it's wet, I think that like cold temperatures is one thing, but if it's wet, again, sitting in Ireland here today, like it's 19 degrees, so that's quite warm, but it's raining. So all of our horses are in their lightweight waterproof sheets to keep that wet off their back and keep their core temperature stabilized. So I wouldn't always worry about temperature drop. I would worry more about whether there's a wind chill factor or whether it's going to rain, and to keep those core muscles, so your hindquarters, your lumbar regions, keeping those areas as dry as possible is definitely critical.
Hannah had asked, do you offer repairs? If the horse tears, can you ship them somewhere for repair?
So as a global company, we're not in a position to do that because we would have to take in blankets from all over the world. However, Hannah, a lot of our retailers do work with local repair companies. Equally, we do offer a Rambo repair kit where you can buy our Storm Shore glue and swatches of fabric that you can then repair your rugs yourself. But unfortunately, just the size of Horseware Ireland, we're not in a position to do that. So.
We had somebody comment that they love the dog blankets too.
Great. That's really good. Yeah, I was saying to Melanie and Melissa before we started, we actually do blankets for dogs, horses, and goats. So you can get a blanket for the whole family. We also do clothing for the riders as well. So you can also dress yourselves and your dogs and your horse in Horseware. Brianna is asking, do you recommend horses to have a neck cover? Again, Brianna, it's really up to you. All my horses would have a neck cover, and that really is to keep their manes intact, to help me with my time management, to keep them clean and dry. And equally, when they do get their winter clip, if their neck is exposed and their body is not, they're going to start to coat out on their neck far quicker than they are on their body. So it really is up to the individual needs, but I would always opt for a neck cover, and that's just to suit my needs as a rider and an owner.
Okay. Mary had asked if you have any blankets that have belly coverage.
So a lot of the rugs that we have with 2 leg arches, like the Amigo Bravo, the leg arches are the cutouts at the bottom of the rug. That center section will start to envelope in underneath the horse and keep the belly covered to a degree. It doesn't cover over the whole way, and that's to allow freedom of movement and maximum coverage. Equally, we know ourselves, horses come in all shapes and sizes, so we need something that's going to cater to such a broad range of equine sizes. But definitely any of the rugs with the 2 leg arches in the front and back is going to allow that enveloping in of that fabric and keep the sides and the belly nice and protected and clean.
She covered that. Okay, seems to be about it. No new questions anyway. If you missed anything, this will be on our Facebook page. You can go back and watch. Also our YouTube channel, it will be on there. And if you have any questions that didn't get answered, please keep asking, because we can get in touch with Claire and we can get those answered for you. But I think maybe it's time to draw a winner.
All right. Claire, do you have anything else to add before we wrap this up?
First of all, thank you so much, guys, for having me. Anyone who's watching at home, thank you so much for your participation. I'm absolutely blown away by the amount of comments that are coming in. Like Melanie and Melissa have said, any questions, please feed them back to Valley Vet, or equally check out the Horseware social media channels. So Horseware Ireland on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. There's lots more information about the brand as a whole. And we do lots of little winter rugging guides, how to care for your rug, how to store your rug. It's all there. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
This has been great. So, all right. The winner of
the Amigo Bravo Heavy Turnout Horse
You're
Blanket.
gonna win this blanket right there.
Drum roll.
Is Brianna White.
Yay!
Woo, yay!
Congratulations, Brianna. All right, Claire, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. This was awesome. So many questions, so many comments about people who already love their Amigo and Rambo turnouts and the dog blankets, and lots of love today for you.
Super. Thank you so much, guys. Happy Thursday, and hopefully talk soon.
All right, one more thing.
Before we end, join us next Thursday. We'll be live with Elanco with Dr. Mark Hilton. So
until then,
and that will be again back at our normal time.
At our normal time.
Yes.
Yep.
So.
All right, and that's it.
Yes,
That's all we
I
have.
think that's it.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you very much.
Bye.
See ya.